We're going to move on. This is, by the way, this is the International Cannabis Business Conference, Berlin 2026. Get your pictures in. We're going to move on to the next panel, where we're discussing trends in cannabinoid research, right? It's not just THC. We're finding so many different cannabinoids in the plant. There's CBD, there's CBG, there's CBN, there's THCA, there's THCV. There's many we haven't even discovered yet, or we don't even know if they have any effects or what they do. And it's great for the pharmaceutical, for the medicinal cannabis system. It's great for people who just like to smoke weed. It's great for all these things. And we're gonna bring those panelists in just a minute. They should be here anytime. Tell them to come in. A little dense. It's Revich, yeah. So there you go. We didn't have time, Rhea. And to lead this panel from AHA, from Loosh, Canada's favorite cannabis son, the one and only Alex Revich. You need walk-on music. We're gonna get you some walk-on music.
Two of our guys went to the bathroom.
Oh, that's all right. Stall a little bit.
What's up, everyone? How you doing? Yes. A couple of our guys are in the bathroom right now, so might have to chat for a moment. Hopefully it's just a number one. Before we start, quick show of hands. Who's here is German? A couple. You know, when we first started the show, 70% of the people were from Germany, 20% from Canada, and 10% from all over the world. That's 2017. And yesterday I did a panel, and I looked out in the audience, and I was like, I don't even know how many Germans are here, because I usually start by saying something in German, but I didn't because I wasn't sure if anyone would understand. But I will say for the few Germans that are here, Willkommen, danke für Erscheinen. Thank you. Very proud of that. All right, so now welcome the panelists. I think everyone is here. Panelists, can you come have your seats? Is everyone here? I tried to tell them to just wear Depends. They don't need a bathroom, but they didn't want to do it that way. Come on in. Some round of applause for our panelists. So, before everyone gets to introduce himself, I realized yesterday I actually forgot to even introduce myself until halfway through. So if you don't know me, I'm Alex Revich. I've been helping organize ICBC since the beginning as a founder of a show in Canada called the Lift Expo. May it rest in peace for any Canadians that remember that. When I'm not organizing this amazing show with so many amazing people, I have a company called Loosh Brands. We're an edibles contract manufacturer out in Canada, where we make all kinds of cool products, gummies, powdered beverages, soft gels, and even natural health products. But ICBC has been a dream of mine to bring all these people from around the world. So, give a round of applause to yourselves also for coming from all around the world. So I want to applaud you all. Thank you so much for coming. And I have the pleasure of doing a really exciting panel talking about research with some really great people. And I'll let them introduce themselves, and we'll jump into some really great topics on cannabis research, starting with my friend JC.
Hi everyone, so I'm Jean-Claude, everyone calls me JC in the industry. So I am from Malta, and by profession I'm a medical doctor. I sit in the industry, I sit at the intersection of medicine and also in actual commercial business, but also medicine and research and how they marry together. So I've done a number of clinical work before in research. Today what I do is I help companies, I advise them how to operate within a medical framework. So that means anything to do with research coordination, anything to do with getting validation studies to access reimbursement, clinical governance, healthcare infrastructure, how to operate a clinic, how to run a clinic, and how to make sure your clinic is compliant. Ultimately, the way I got into cannabis, I was already working as a doctor, and I had seen so many patients get benefit. I tried cannabis myself, got benefit myself, and looked around me and noticed that there were no other doctors actually taking a stand. Prescribing is one thing, but what we really need at this stage in the industry is advocacy. Someone needs to take a stand, show their face, and say, hey, this is here, this is happening. And I did that. I got a bit of sting back from the other doctors, the senior, older doctors. He saw a young doctor kind of speaking out, and what does he know? But for me, that was a sign that things are working, that things are happening. And 10 years later, still here, and I'm really excited to meet anyone who wants to operate within a medical framework, especially I make a special note, anyone coming from, for example, North America, where it's more retail. Over here, it's more healthcare, so if you want to operate within a healthcare model, I'm very, very happy to help you.
For sure, and it's amazing to have a doctor with us, so thank you very much for joining us. Israel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Israel Gasperin. I am an engineering scientist and founder of Centruella. We are a neurotechnology company focused on developing a more viable or accessible way of conducting cannabis research through two unique ways. One is the use of brain technology to generate objective and neurophysiological evidence of cannabis effects, and the other one is a more commercially viable research framework, so cannabis producers and other stakeholders in the industry can leverage to more reliably develop their products and differentiate them and build trust with the consumer and doctors and distribution partners in order to differentiate their brands when they have developed premium or innovative products when compared to more generic versions that exist in the market.
And my friend Sean, which I realized we haven't updated the graphic. Unfortunately, Nadav couldn't make it, but luckily Sean knows plenty about Ibna and this company. Introduce yourself, Sean.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean, Canada Sales Director at Ibna. We're a R&D company focusing on providing terpene-based solutions and innovations to the cannabis and wellness industries. I've been in the industry for the past 12, 14 years, based in Colorado, but our company is based worldwide in Israel, Berlin, and California. Always focusing on learning mostly the non-cannabinoid molecules in the plant and how they affect the different benefits and different variations between strains and how we can help more people with this knowledge. That's what we're focusing on.
Well, 12 to 14 years. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Hell yeah.
Bazdar.
Hello, everybody. My name is Božidar Radišić. I'm from Slovenia. Originally, I come from activism because on my cannabis way, I realized that actually ban of cannabis is a big humiliation of human rights. So I established the Association for Human Rights in Slovenia to helping people with on a legal basis at the courts and so on. But in meantime, I realized that we will not come forward if we will not start some kind of education because we have very uneducated professionals in Slovenia, like everywhere. It was 20 years ago. So I started to organize scientific conferences and also established and found the Research Nature Institute because I also started 10 years ago to analyzing products from the black market used by patients. We all know that the quality of the any remedy is very important, so that was my main goal. So with one of my partners, we obtained some machinery like HPLC, GCMS, and LCMS-MS at the Faculty of Health Sciences in Ljubljana, and we run a common laboratory, and we just issued a new paper. I don't know if it is published, but it will be soon on all social media. And on this journey, I also started to organize educational seminaries for doctors and nurses at the Faculty of Health Sciences in Ljubljana 6 years ago, but unfortunately, doctors are not very interested in it because, I don't know, maybe 70 years of anti-propaganda.
Well, we're gonna help change that.
Yeah,
maybe
we
after.
all did, like guys in this panel, especially professional, Jean-Claude, because one thing is if we are talking to doctors as an activist or scientist, another thing when this doctor to doctor talk. And the last project we started, I will talk maybe a bit later, is to research how the cannabis genome is behaving after the exposure of cosmic radiation and microgravity.
Wow, that's a very interesting one, and we're going to get to that because yes, that is a very interesting way of research. But that's kind of the future of research. But like, how did we get here? When I got into the cannabis industry in 2013, I was told that there's been tons of cannabis research done already, but unfortunately, 90% of it was to show how bad cannabis is. So that's not very helpful at all. So I actually did some stats to see how much research has been done more recently. So in total, there's been about 57,000 scientific papers indexed in databases like PubMed, dating back to like 1800s when it all started. The last decade alone, there's been over 35,000 papers published at about 4,000 papers a year for the last few years. 70% of all studies were published in the last decade, and 90% over since 2002. So we've come a long way. And people might think, why do I care about research? This is a business conference. I'm here to make money, and I care about business. Well, it is very important because it helps with access, it helps with insurance coverage, it helps with getting more doctors on board like JC. JC is very forward thinking, so that's why he's here. But so many other doctors who have been trained already about how bad cannabis is, we need research to show otherwise. And the reduction of stigma, that's a big part of it too, so people don't think it's just for stoners. But one important thing that this amazing plant has is many, many different cannabinoids and many, many different elements. People still talk only about THC oftentimes. And we've come a long way in Canada with this, but here in Germany, I found out recently that CBN is banned. CBN, which my mom takes for sleep every single night in a gummy, who she used to yell at me for ruining my life with this stuff. She is now taking a CBN gummy for sleep and telling her friends, I almost have a tear in my eye, and here in Germany this is banned. So it definitely hurts my heart to hear that. Our first question is around other cannabinoids and other minor cannabinoids. Research is going to really help because people said, oh, I take CBG for this, I take CBC for that. We need more research on this. Let's talk about minor cannabinoids. When it comes to minor cannabinoids, who wants to start us off? I know, Sean, you were talking about how IBNA is really big on understanding things more than THC.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to mention it's all about a lot of different molecules together, and of course minor cannabinoids. For a long time it's been focused on THC and CBD, that's what the people knew. Even like not only the cannabinoids, all the non-cannabinoid molecules in this plant, such as terpenes and thiols and ketones, and there is hundreds of molecules working together synergetically with these cannabinoids in order for them to make these different benefits and medicinal effects that help a lot of people. So that's just one thing that I think like always we learn more about, and the consumers are learning more about, that it's not just THC and CBD, there is other minor cannabinoids and there is a whole spectrum of other molecules. So
right, exactly.
That's one thing that is important to mention, I think.
No, that's a good point. In Israel, I know you've done some really cool work. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about the CBG work that you've done, but because I know you do it for different clients, but maybe you can touch on some of the minor cannabinoid work that you've done and why people should care.
Sure. I think CBG is one of the main minor cannabinoids that we have studied in our own research sites, but also in collaboration with academia, specifically with the Washington State University. And CBG is very interesting because the preliminary evidence that we have generated from EEG, or brain-based analysis, is its ability to mute your mood, whether you are having a nice time or a bad time. It keeps your mood balanced, muted. It doesn't change. It doesn't seem to change. And when it was tested under stress, study subjects doesn't seem to react to that stress. This is non-therapeutic evidence that is not necessarily to claim or conclude that it's going to treat PTSD or anxiety. However, it's providing very solid evidence that for temporary benefits, it can help you to better manage stress and difficult moments. I think this is quite important for clinical work because last year I was at CanMed, one of the other scientific conferences in the United States, and many doctors were talking about the challenges that they are facing from other doctors who are not into the cannabis space. And I think the biggest challenge has always been having more and more evidence that strengthens the potential benefits of cannabinoids. And we were talking about, JC, of the complexity and the ego aspect that also exists when you are talking to doctors that are not into the cannabis space, who have always believed that cannabinoids are not good at all for humanity, and suddenly this kind of evidence continues strengthening and complementing evidence that they actually have clear benefits when they are used correctly. And I think that this kind of objective and neurophysiological data is strengthening that case, and that's one of the most exciting cannabinoids that we have studied today.
Oh, that's very cool. No, and I'm glad that we can talk about this because minor cannabinoids are so important. It breaks my heart to hear people in Germany talk to me about how CBN and CBG is like banned while they're smoking like high THC flower. It's crazy, and I understand it probably had a lot to do with these alternative cannabinoids. I actually just met some people outside earlier today who sell HHC, and you throw a few letters together and call it a cannabinoid, and as long as it's not banned, then I guess it's legal, and I think this is hurting the industry a lot. But the next topic is around bridging disciplines. So one of the most important things is breaking down the barriers between academia, industry, and healthcare. One thing is important is aligning the goals between researchers and the commercial operators. The reason why is we need to show the businesses why research is important. It's important to save you money. It's important for you to differentiate yourself from other products that are out there and to create more brand loyalty. So this is why the business should care about research. This is an important thing to do. Now, JC, we were talking about the importance of getting clinicians involved. I met JC here years ago. He was a young doctor out of school. It was amazing to see your progress. How do we get more and break down the barriers between the academia with industry? How do we get them all working together, and the government? Because since they're the ones that have the most money here so far.
I think in one sentence is the clinicians have to be included from the very start.
Right.
It's very difficult if you've already invested time and money into something and then go to the clinicians with a finished product and they give you feedback, oh, this isn't exactly what we want, or this doesn't fit in the model that we operate in, and then that's too late. So the first and most important advice I'd give is involve clinicians, involve scientists, involve people who can interpret data science from the beginning. Everyone has to be around the table from day one. And not only will this avoid problems, but tying into what we were talking about earlier, it can also be a solution in itself. So more than a waste of money, it's a solution. So we mentioned CBN. So I'm working right now helping a company formulate sleep formulations. And they utilize CBN. And like you said, Alex, there are some issues in Germany and other EU countries about banning. What's the best way to overturn that, to go to the government, to go to regulators and change regulation? It's research, right? It's research from the very beginning, knowing what the problems are. If you have doctors and scientists from day one, then you can start working, you can start doing initial research, and you can start pushing regulators in the right direction from day one, so that when you are ready to, so when the regulators finally do change regulations, and as we've seen, we always heard regulations won't change in Germany, they have changed. Eventually it'll happen. But the difference is that if you include the clinicians and the scientists from day one, when the regulations change, you'll be ready with a product, with research, and ready to release.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Fazar, I'm sure you have some thoughts on how do we get academia involved?
I just want to add that research and education is the key also for prosperity of cannabis industry in the future. Because pharma industry is financing their studies and they are educating doctors, promoting medicine. And I think that cannabis industry altogether should do something similar. It's almost impossible to get research, for example, for cannabis in Slovenia from government side or some, government funding. We don't have private funds for research, so it's very hard to conduct any research. Therefore, I really urge the all cannabis industry, to support the research, because without the research and education, we will not prosper as we could with it.
Yeah, that's very important. And one challenge in the past we've talked about is how do we translate the research into turning it into something from healthcare? One barrier in the past has always been the cost. To make a pharma product could cost tens of millions of dollars. People don't have that. And unfortunately, in Canada, some of us did have tens of millions of dollars, but they ended up giving it to executive salaries rather than putting it into research. Plus, the 60 to 70% of taxes don't really help. Israel, for you, I know with Zentrella, this cool EEG headband that measures the brain waves is a very cost-effective way of doing it. Can you kind of touch on kind of comparably how much regular research, what people consider pharmaceutical research versus the research that you do, and how that can be utilized for proper research?
Yeah, sure. When Canada legalized recreational cannabis consumption federally, they created a new research framework that is for non-therapeutic benefits or non-therapeutic cannabis effects. We design a technology and a research model that fits into that framework. So it's more objective, faster, and cost-effective. The execution or conducting cannabis effect research or other types of research. Based on our experience working with also pharmaceuticals and nutraceutical companies, this research model is really fulfilling that specific, and by the way, not only our offering, but overall this framework is helping the cannabis industry and these other markets to come up with a more agile and cost-effective way of conducting research that generates initial evidence that helps them to file patents about innovative formulations or technologies or products, leverage this information to back up their product performance during the due diligence and raising funds to market their products and positioning them differently because now they are complying with regulations to prove that the evidence is factual, provably true, and presented to the consumer in an easy way to understand. So it really makes a difference.
No, for sure. Thank you for that. And a little quick topic, just a quick moment on a topic that's a little bit outside of this cannabis conference, because we were talking backstage, and JC has done some work on psychedelics, and it almost feels like sometimes psychedelics have moved faster than cannabis. Like we've been here for so long, we've been fighting the stigma, fighting this, and it almost feels like just within 2 years, there's all this clinical trials going on of psychedelics. There's all these states that are legalizing it so quickly. I know this is a cannabis conference, but just real quick, JC, can you kind of share, is there some lessons learned about the way the psychedelics did it that cannabis can learn, and maybe they can learn from each other something?
Well, what really happened in psychedelics is we learned a lot from the lessons in cannabis.
Yes.
So a few years ago, psychedelicare.eu was started. So this is a European citizens initiative, basically to change laws around psychedelics in the European Union. And one of the things I think, which was the biggest lesson learned, is that Psychedelicare, which was a European citizens initiative, everyone could sign it. This was last year. The goal was to reach 1 million signatures in order to be able to change EU law. Unfortunately, the target was not reached, but there are some amazing people taking care of that initiative, and they're going to keep going and keep working. But the main, I think, takeaway was creating a unified standard for psychedelic therapies. And it makes sense because look at what happened with cannabis. You have a lot of fragmentation, which till now, it still haunts us, that fragmentation. So in psychedelics, we took a look at what happened in cannabis and we tried to learn from that. One of them was that unification, having one European stance for the way that we classify and use psychedelics. So that I think would be the main thing.
Yeah.
And another thing is having funds for EU research. Another big push is to have funds for EU research, and there's actually a European alliance, it's called PEREA, where it stands for the Psychedelic, I think, Research Alliance. But essentially what they do is they connect researchers from universities all across Europe and try and fund research to happen as one collective body. So I think having that collectivity together, that's one of the main things that I think should be happening in cannabis. We should be funding research, getting researchers together, and not just the senior clinicians. There's so much interest in young people. Let's help a master's student do a research in psychedelic. Let's help a PhD student, a postdoc. Let's push them towards being able to afford this kind of research and back them up. A lot of companies can gain from it. Let's help them actually arrive there. Let's help them do the work. And that's so much needed in the industry.
No, that's an excellent point. Give a quick applause to that. You know, and you said about unification, which I actually want to pick up on, but you know, people always try to separate medical versus rec, cannabis versus psychedelics, but actually when you think about it, they have a lot of similarities. Everyone wants a desired outcome. Everybody really wants to have a product that is meter dose. They know exactly what they're getting all the time. They want that consistency. So there's actually a lot more in common than we realize. And you were talking about the importance of unification, and that's one of the things we were talking about backstage. And I wanted to bring this up just for a quick little topic where anyone maybe in the audience has some ideas, like how do we unify? I feel like, you know, Israel's doing his research in Hamilton, and now he just opened up a place in Michigan to open it up to some U.S. researchers. Ibna is in America and Israel, and all these places doing their thing. Bazadar is doing stuff in Slovenia and other places. JC's in Malta. You know, is there a way? How do we unite and actually create some synergies where we all do it? Like, what does collaborative research look like? I don't know if anyone has any thoughts. If you could just a quick moment, and maybe anyone in the audience afterwards can come and talk if anyone has any ideas, because this is important. If everyone's just working in their own silos, it's very expensive that way. There's not a lot of money available. How do we kind of group this together? Anyone have any thoughts of how we can work better together?
I think part of that is being here. So along the years, I have met so many amazing people at ICBC, and again, I thank the organizers for you know, putting me on stage and for being able to meet other people and do good things with people in the same mindset. We're all here because we love the plant, we love the outcomes it can give to people. So just by being here, everyone here in the audience, connect with people, join forces, connect people to other people, be the connector, even if it doesn't give you anything monetarily. That's fine. We connect people all the time, and sometimes, you know, I personally believe in karma, and it does come back to you, but we're all pushing one united front, and if we keep that and keep pushing one united front and keep connecting people, eventually we'll arrive at unification. And
absolutely,
it doesn't come on its own. It's everyone's responsibility, I'd say, to push one rope and to all work for a better cannabis industry.
Yeah, for sure. That's amazing. And you know, anyone else kind of any collaboration that you do with any academia or anything that you're doing to kind of do it as a group, even though it might not make you money? What, Bazadar, is there something you're doing?
Yes, we actually, when we started Martian Grow project, that's sending seeds to space, we already established international research team with scientists from, I don't know, Israel, Europe, US, because only that way that we are connected and collaborate can, you know, we can push this wagon a bit further. And yes, I miss the funding on the cannabis, but the big difference between psychedelics and cannabis is that psychedelics doesn't have 61 single convention on drugs. You know,
that's
they
the
are
EU,
not
right?
under it.
For those that don't know,
And
the EU
we are
convention,
still sticking on this convention after 65 years, like nothing happened.
Boo.
In meantime, you know, and this should be changed.
Yes, for sure. It's the prohibition era. Sean, do you have some thoughts of how do we collaborate together? Are you guys doing any kind of collaboration?
Honestly, since day one, Ibna, like the foundation and the main goal was to do more research on all these less known molecules and to understand how we can map them out better and potentially create more products for a bigger variety of people that might not want to smoke strain or might not want to smoke anything at all. So we've been conducting a lot of collaborations with academias in Israel. Even we've done some work with you in Israel in the past, constantly exploring how we can unite more of these together. So we bring all the research together and make new products from it.
Right,
yeah.
and you said something important, and here we are in Germany, People want to use cannabis, not just smoking. I want everyone to understand that. I can't tell you how many Germans I've spoken to, and they almost laugh when I tell them, like, hey, we want to bring soft gels. Haha, soft gels. Like, no one wants soft gels. They just want to smoke it. And the mistake that's happening, and I just want to point this out, is everyone is so focused on taking the illegal cannabis users and bringing them into the legal cannabis world. And yes, that is a market, but that is actually a small market. If you can look past it, you will see people like my mom who would never ever use cannabis, who are now using cannabis. You know, this is the bigger market, and I'd like to see Germany, thank you. I'd like to see Germany wake up and kind of realize that real medicine, I mean, smoking is fun and it has some benefits for some people, but there is a much better alternatives out there for topicals and whatever, so people need to kind of like wake up to that. So the next question is around the breakthroughs. There are some positive things, like we are seeing some breakthroughs. I mean, the Zentrella thing is very, very exciting. So beyond Zentrella, what other things are you seeing? JC, you probably see some stuff. I mean, Bozidar sending plant seeds to space. That's a pretty fucking cool breakthrough if you can find something really interesting there. But yeah, sending seeds to space, for real, through SpaceX, right? Your friend Elon Musk.
Yeah, not directly with Elon Musk. He's just the owner of SpaceX. But yes, we already sent seeds to space last year, but unfortunately they failed at the
It didn't land.
re-entry.
Yeah.
Now we are repeating the experiment in June and October. We sent another genetics up to space, and then we will perform most of the study at the faculty in Ljubljana, and also our other genetic partners in Europe and US. We hope we will get some nice results, some more resilient plants, some maybe different, I don't know. We will see, you know, go with the flow because it's very new area. I know we can simulate the conditions like close to space condition on Earth, but still, if you send it up, it's real world, not the simulation.
Yeah, and for those that maybe are not realizing why this could be interesting is it might actually make like healthier plants, better yield. Maybe it can create a cannabinoid in a way that we don't even know. And again, I hate when people say like a new cannabinoid, CBG, what's this new cannabinoid, CBG? It's not a new cannabinoid, we're just starting to learn about it. So maybe there will be something learned from that. So that's what's kind of exciting. Any other breakthroughs or things that you're excited for the future?
In the interest of time, I'm going to do a quick fire top 3.
Yes.
And then if you're interested, please find me and I'll talk to you about it after. So for me, number 1, microencapsulation. How to get those different complex compounds into one capsule with the ideal formulation for each of them differently.
That's very important.
Number 2 is biomarkers. So smart inhalation devices, understanding how people are inhaling and being able to transfer into data. And number 3, infrastructure for data. There are so many apps now, so much cannabis tech happening, but that data needs a house, and data infrastructure in cannabis tech, I think, is going to be a really, really huge thing soon. That's my top 3.
No, those are definitely good top 3s. Israel, what are you excited about beyond Zentrella? What else is going on out there that's kind of cool or that you see for the future?
Well, I think the awareness and appreciation of research as a key way of running a cannabis business is becoming more and more appreciated. And I think that is really exciting, not because we are into that space, but because I truly believe that the way of making cannabinoids mainstream and fully adopted as an additional natural approach to improve your well-being or your health is by scientifically proving it. And I can see how the industry in the United States, in Canada, overall in Europe as well, is appreciating that more. And I think that the governments are also becoming more friendly and accessible in order to create these new regulatory frameworks to conduct human research in a faster and more cost-effective way. So I think that will have a big impact in the next 10 years.
No, for sure. And, Sean, I know beyond people's excitement for terpenes and people finally realizing, like I can tell you in Canada, when we had legalization, everyone would just come in, what's the highest THC you have for the lowest price? That's how it started. And it was so frustrating to hear because you don't see people coming to a liquor store asking, hey, what's the highest alcohol content that I can get? Well, maybe some random people might, but majority of people would not. Now we're starting to see terpenes, which I like to describe as the steering wheel directing your experience. Is it going to direct you to a sleepy state, or is it going to take you to like a high state with a little more buzzy? Or is that buzzy state going to give people a paranoia attack? So what are you excited for beyond kind of people's better understanding of terpenes? Anything?
So, I mean, with the better understanding of terpenes of the consumers is one thing. The other thing that we constantly do at IBNA, and there's more and more research about it, is what actually these groups of compounds can do for different products, right? And to me, a big breakthrough and a pretty mind-blowing thing is that without even any cannabinoids, I mean, you can, of course, with the cannabinoids, it's a different story, but even just groups of terpenes and other molecules in the plant, you can actually activate different body receptors. And I mean, other than, it's cool to know that.
So it's like a high. Without even the cannabinoids, you can actually feel
now
a
we're
high.
able to start seeing products that are being able to expand even outside of just the cannabis industry and be able to bring these benefits of the plant to other people that might not go into a dispensary or have a prescription to a pharmacy. So that's to me something that is very exciting.
Huge. Yeah, that is huge. A round of applause for our panelists. I know we're pretty much out of time, but I wonder if maybe we could take a question or two.
We have time for like one or two questions if anyone has a question.
I feel like some people for sure have some questions for these awesome panelists.
All right, good thing you're close to the
right
microphone. Thank you. You're saving me a walk.
Hello, guys. I'm Alex. I'm a surgeon, trauma surgeon from Germany. I used to work in the university clinic, and now I do cannabis therapy with my patients. And you guys were talking about psychedelics and in comparison to cannabis. And I think one very important point is when you talk about psychedelic therapy, we look very closely to set and setting. So what do we do with the experience, right? And at the moment in time, when we think about cannabis research, we're thinking about it very fractured. So we talk about the components, THC, CBG, can we isolate one, how do they work, what do the receptors do? This is not how we do research of psychedelics. Psychedelics, we look at set and setting. And I think this is a point that is missed in cannabis treatment. So what I myself found out, I treated about 400 patients, especially before legalization, very strict. It was BTM, it was narcotic. So the patient had to come back every 30 days for a follow-up prescription. What I noticed is that cannabis can be used like a painkiller that works on body, mind, and soul at the same time. And if you use it as in a surgery, where we use painkillers to be able to do surgery on you because the trauma that you have is too high, we can use cannabis and perform concepts from other medical systems, like Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine. So I'm talking about breath work, yoga, chi work, right? And even psychedelic cannabis treatment, which is rooted in the United States from a Mr. McQueen. So
we should definitely, after this, you should definitely come and talk to JC and me.
Right. So my question is, Warren, is
the question.
How do you rate that? How is the cannabis research on using cannabis as a tool, less on focusing on the ingredients, but what do you do with the high?
So first of all, very keen to talk and chat more in depth, but just to keep things short, I'm very enthusiastic, and I've worked a lot around these setting, in particular in psychedelic therapies, particularly the musical component, which I have a particular enthusiasm for. But you're right, in cannabis, it's just not the way it's been done. It's not the way that research has been started. It's not the way it's normally coordinated. A lot of it has also been very anti-cannabis, and obviously the propaganda and the regulators ultimately have a very strong hand in deciding what outcomes are looked at in research. Should we be looking at cannabis in that way? Absolutely. Would I love to see more of this happening in the future? Yes. Do I rate it? Yeah, 100%. And at this point, we are very information poor. We don't know is it good? Is it not? Like, does it work? Is it not? The best way is to start doing research and figure out. But based on a hunch, I'd say that applying the same the therapy concepts, and it's not just about the substance, but also the therapy surrounding that, applying that to cannabis, I think it would be a very, very good way forward.
Yeah, agreed with that. I think, do we have time for one more
No.
quick one? No?
I'm sorry. We're going to move on.
All right, fine. Just a
Let's
picture.
hear it for Alex Revich and everybody here on the panel. Get a picture. And then we'll move on to our next.